Call of Duty 4 is often considered to be one of the best, most influential first-person shooters of all time. A stellar campaign, a surprisingly fun little arcade mode, and of course, the beloved multiplayer. Let's see if we can break the game entirely by completing the campaign using only handguns. The game begins with our protagonist, Don't Drop the Soap, picking up a G36C. This doesn't count, since wood does not breathe. After nearly getting run over by a tank, let me take some time to explain this challenge. I can only use handguns to kill the enemies. This means that my main weapons will be the M9, USP-45, and the 1911 with a few others thrown in for good measure. Flash, stun, and smoke grenades are acceptable as well. By this point, you will have seen me walk to another hangar, be insulted by Price, and climb up a ladder. I ran the course with a recommended time of hardened, did way better the second time, but picked regular, and we are already off to our first operation. I got blood on my USP-45, my weapon is also perfectly acceptable for close encounters, and I got myself an upgrade to the Desert Eagle. After fighting off some more generic Russians, I collected some documents, got transported to the Titanic, and we completed the obligatory run to the helicopter with precarious jump segment of this game. For some reason, I wanted to save time by skipping the glorified cutscene of the next mission since it's boring for the 30th time you watch it and features no combat. Next up, we were off to Blackout, where we don't start with a handgun. After an intensely non-political conversation and a bit of research, I determined that this particular version of the Scorpion would be okay for this challenge. It has variants that are considered SMGs and variants considered to be a machine pistol. I successfully killed some machine gunners from beyond the weapon's effective range, struggled a bit to climb the nearby mountain. There was more machine pistol sniping in this area, and both kindergarten teachers put Kamarov into timeout for fighting over a Matchbox car. This actually happened to me once. The Scorpion continued to perform well enough. Price arguably looks better with the lights off, that's a song reference. I found an M9 and we were successfully extracted. Insert obligatory Vietnam War movie music here in giant helicopter invasion. For our next mission, we take control of a US soldier during the 454th invasion of the Middle East. My M9 was lonely, so I found it a nice USP Concubine 45 for company. The next few minutes are largely uneventful as we go corner to corner, clearing out a random insert Middle Eastern country soldiers here on our way to the TV station. This section was pretty unpleasant actually, as there are enemies in every room, every cubicle, even some hiding out upstairs wielding RPGs. It took 2 or 3 tries and about 10 minutes or so, but we did eventually clear it. We eventually got to the broadcast room, only to find out that our terrorist was in another castle. The bog begins in a building instead of a bog. Though you are told to use the machine gun to clear out some enemies, it is thankfully not required. Unfortunately, the run dies here, as you are forced to use the javelin to destroy a group of tanks on the nearby overpass. This run failed much faster than Modern Warfare 2, but come on, you don't think I'm stopping the stream here, there's a lot more pain to come. After using the Jimmy Neutron spray to get through a fence, we finally arrived at the bog that the mission must have been named after. I killed some enemies on an anti-air gun, blew it up without killing anyone afterward. Shepard still doesn't care about danger close, and we completed the mission. They survived this. I got baby's first 1911A1, I think I saved the farmer person, and attempted to kill the helicopter gunner with my handgun. I was forced to kill some dogs, hid in some tall grass, died way too many times in the greenhouse, found an M9 somewhere and then hid in a barn. Once again, the mission didn't work out for the challenge because a Stinger missile is required to destroy the circling helicopter. On the plus side, we get to see an AC-130 expend tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars in munitions to wipe out a battalion of Russians. The next mission, Death from Above, speaks for itself. You use a gunship with no opportunity to kill for miles above the earth using only a handgun. And no, you can't get through this one without shooting, and believe me, I did give it a try. Moving on. With that unpleasantness out of the way, we switch over to Sergeant Mitten's squad for another American mission. Fun fact, this is the only mission in the game that contains the M16. I didn't actually know that until the remaster came out. I cleared some buildings, hid behind a dumpster, and came to this weird section. You have to clear an MG nest, but for some reason, I don't think you can do it with a handgun. You need something that'll punch through the wall or an explosive. I'll mark this mission as a maybe, but honestly, I don't even know if the handgun is effective enough. Our tank was thankfully equipped with SitRep Pro or whatever that perk is, and we made a clean extraction. The final mission begins with an on-rails grenade launcher section. While it did take quite a few failed attempts, you can actually get through it without even shooting, so your grenade launcher can be broken or out of ammo. The ground combat is pretty much par for the course on this mission. The 1911 is actually really kind of weak in this game. A building was cleared, and we were warned of a possible nuclear weapon nearby. A friendly helicopter went down. I was given 90 seconds to rescue the pilot, but did it in 36, and the sun arrived on Earth to go supernova. We also get another brief interactive cutscene mission called Aftermath, and then we conclude the first act. Act 2 begins with no handgun to be seen. I refused air support, made my squad clear out the first 2 safe house locations, and eventually located a lonely handgun in the 3rd building. This mission is actually also pretty uneventful and easy to do using only a handgun, and then Price probably violated the Geneva Convention multiple times during the so-called interrogation and eventual execution of generic Middle Eastern terrorist leader. Now, we head off to the first of the 2 flashback missions, which may very well be the greatest mission in any first-person shooter of all time. We managed to kill the first patrol, snuck past the house, and my attempts to kill the guy in the tower went as wrong as my attempts to get a date to prom junior year. And senior year. We miraculously survived the enemy onslaught, where we received a free verbal, non-sexual ass-chewing from Captain McMuffin. They survived this. We snuck past another patrol and reached what I assume was the inspiration for the map's shipment. This somehow works. I got us alerted while killing the sniper, and was then eaten by a little puppy while trying to sprint to victory. I alerted the sniper again on my second attempt, but this time I actually managed to outrun all of the doggies and the giant convoy that we crawled under, and ended the first stream with a successful mission completion. So at this point, of the 13 missions that we have completed, 9 were actually completely successful, 3 were failures, and 1 was questionable. To begin the second stream, we channel our inner Chris Kyle, may he rest in peace. We remove Zakhaev's arm with the utmost precision and care of a surgeon, but are forced to shoot down a helicopter, failing the challenge once again, and are then given 20 minutes to escape half the entire Russian army. There aren't really too many enemies to fight in the first area. I shot down a helicopter with my pea shooter, and McMuffin somehow loses the use of his legs here. I hid in some bushes, murdered a boy and his dog, I think that's a movie, killed the last patrol, and arguably the toughest part of the entire game begins. This fight offers gratuitous levels of suck, which I will be comparing to a Zeta at a frat party. Death came more frequently than she did, and the overall experience was worse than waking up to a green wee-wee and the threat of child support on the way the next morning. Wonder if I managed to offend anyone with that. Probably not. I don't care anyway. All jokes aside, this was not fun. This was morning after 10 shots of moonshine level of not fun, and believe me, I've had that experience. But by some miracle, we did finally manage to pull out, just in time, giggity. Continuing the theme from the previous mission, we head into Heat. The mission, to be specific. This mission begins with the defensive line around the church. Now, I always thought the defensive portions of this mission were based on time. Apparently, that's not actually the case. I couldn't find any spare handguns on the entire map and was forced to get a few kills to actually forward the game. It's based on kills, what do you know? The minigun portion is exactly the same, except that you don't actually have to destroy the helicopters. And then you have to detonate 4 lines of C4, which I attempted to do with few casualties, but it's impossible to do without killing anyone. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but javelins hurt even more, especially required javelin usages. Oh, and let's not forget that this entire failure was completely in vain because we have to run all the way back down the damn hill for our extraction, which was ironically the easiest part of the mission to get through without shooting anyone. The end of Act 2 begins with some pistol snipering, the acquisition of a scorpion, a suicidal little prick, and an obligatory chase sequence. The rest of this mission is pretty short and straightforward, with no handgun challenge related issues, and we complete Act 2. Act 3 begins with the ultimatum that we gave to our dog after he pooped in his kennel. We clear a couple of buildings, my dog comes back to haunt me or hunt me. I'm not entirely sure how Griggs actually got captured, and we once again whipped out the Jimmy Neutron spray to infiltrate the new facility. To be honest, the rest of this mission is also pretty uneventful, just like the last one with nothing to fail the challenge, although this one did have a fireworks show, so that's a plus. All In is all about destroying vehicles. Naturally, this is not ideal for a handgun-only playthrough. Thankfully, the mission is at least very short, and despite the failures throughout it, we channeled our inner Mission Impossible to infiltrate the missile silo. The penultimate mission of the game can be pretty tough on veteran, and it actually has a time limit, but it's another one of those missions that doesn't really change in terms of gameplay under challenge conditions like this. Griggs got mad at a door, we saved the world, and I was caught off guard by a red explodey thing. After this, we made our escape directly into the final mission. Despite being a heavily on-rails mission, Game Over actually gives you access to a 1911 from the start, and these are those special action movie type of vehicles that blow themselves up at pre-designated times to turn Call of Duty into Michael Bay. You're told to shoot down the helicopter with an RPG, but even if you hit it, you can't actually bring it down, so this doesn't fail the challenge. Price forgot how to drive. I showed the last one-off weapon, the M60. The helo aimed at a gas tanker instead of us. Griggs took a headshot like a champ, and then our backup finally arrived. Price slides us a handgun to one-shot the final boss. A more guaranteed death than the end of Modern Warfare 2, and the good Russians lift us to safety. And of course, there's Mile High Club, which is pretty easy. We kill some people, save an unknown VIP, avoid the wing while skydiving, and I did not beat Call of Duty 4 using only handguns. In the end, of the game's 21 missions, 14 are doable handgun only, 1 is questionable, and 6 are complete failures. That is a 66.66% repeating success rate, up to around 71% depending on Warpig, which puts it at around the same spot as Modern Warfare 2. I love this game, perhaps even more than the sequel, and this was a great new way to play through it. Thank you all for watching. Please like, favorite, share, subscribe, and ring the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next run.